This is an optional video just going over some of the render abilities that Civil 3D has and like material assignments and dry, for example. So this is some stuff that we've already talked about in previous videos, but doing it again and covering a bit more. So you can see, different use cases for these tools. This is optional. You don't have to do any work for this if you don't want to. You don't even have to watch it if you don't want to. But for those of you who do, this isn't super structured. I haven't planned this out or anything, so bear with me as I go through this. The first thing I want to point out is the ability to have different render materials to different surfaces. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn off my finish grade surface. I want to assign different materials to each of my layers. So I'm actually just going to set these both to no display. And I'll turn on my existing ground surface. I'll do 2 and 10. And I'm going to make this short grass for the rendering material. Oh, okay. So there's my site work. I'll just rebuild these. Not sure really why that's doing that. I'm not sure what's wrong with my sidewalk surface, but that's okay. If I open this up in the model viewer now, or not the model viewer, sorry, the object viewer, which uses the render materials. At first you won't see anything, but all you have to do is change your viewpoint a little bit and make sure you're on the realistic option. So I like to use either these preset isometric ones or just click on the corners of the view camera box. So now you can see here my whole site is short grass. I want to be able to distinguish all of my features though, so I'm going to assign different render materials to all of those. So I'm going to open up my object surfaces panel here. One thing I want to show you quickly is if you type in materials, if you do this for the first time, you'll probably get a pop-up that's asking you reassign existing materials or something like that. Just hit OK. That's okay. It doesn't really do anything. But if you do, you'll probably see a screen that looks something like this. And I would just try to expand it a good amount. And on the top, you'll see all of the materials that are in your drawing file. So these are the ones that are just included in Civil 3D as default. But you can also see this Autodesk library of materials. So if you expand home and expand this library, you can see, since Autodesk is just a CAD drawing product to start with, you have access to all of these different render materials with their different properties. And there are tons of them. So this can be useful for some of those 3D views, to communicate with clients or to really get a sense of what your design might look like. This is something you can use. I think professionally, most people end up exporting their designs or importing other objects from, Revit or CAD or something like that. And this isn't really used too much professionally, but I think it has some power because it's all built into Civil 3D. It's not, so difficult to implement. So I might add a different concrete for my concrete pad. Maybe I want this. I'll do the flat bloom gray, so I can just click it and drag it into my workspace. And I believe now it should show up here. Yeah. I want one for my sidewalk, so let me go to site work and let's find one that works here. Might do one of these pavers. So I might do red brick pavers. Oh, that doesn't really fit UVA. I'll do the tan brown ones. So I added that. If I go to liquid, you can also see water. So I will try to make my pond into an actual surface. So I haven't done this before, but we'll see if it works. So maybe I'll do Clear Lake or Murky River. I'll do Clear Lake. I can do them both and we can just see what works. And let's just see if I have any other grass options that I like. I have that short grass right now, so maybe I want something different for my grading objects. But I could also just use that thick grass that's already included. So that's okay for me, with me for now. Now I'm going to go through and actually go to each of my surfaces, assign the material I want, and also turn them on for display. I will do the same thing with my sidewalk. Grading, I will do a thick grass, I think. And the actual sidewalk, I will use those pavers. So I also am going to try to create a new surface from my pond feature line here. So if I go to surfaces, create surface, and I call this pond water. For the pond water surface, I am going to go to the definition tab and add this line as a break line. And I think that should have worked. So let me just see if I can see this surface to start with. So select. You can see it's not quite fitting the site here. That might have to do with the mid-ordinate distance. So I might be able to decrease that. So for now, that might be okay. I think I would have to recreate this. So I'm going to open this in the model viewer just to see what this looks like. Yeah, that looks good to me. So now I will assign that different water texture here. So I might do murky river, for example. I think if I open this up now in the model viewer, it will still look like grass, right? Because we don't have a realistic style here. But if I open this up in the object viewer, so let me select this object. Here it should show up as water. Well, that doesn't really look like water to me, but maybe that's what Civil 3D thinks it is. Let me try Clear Lake as well. Okay, that's sort of like water. But now what I can do is go through and select all of my surfaces. So I can select the pond and sidewalk and really just see what all of these look like together. Just selecting everything on my site, and now if I open this in the object viewer, I don't know how this will turn out. I might not have selected everything correctly, but okay, so it sort of worked. You can see the concrete pad here, the sidewalk, and the grading objects. If I wanted this to look even better, what I would do is make all of the objects a boundary for my existing ground feature, so that way, or a mask, so that way it doesn't cover them up like this. Anyways, you can assign, masks and use boundary conditions and really play with the surface definition to get the view you want. The other thing you can do is, make an alignment yourself anywhere on your site. Just make an alignment called like drive alignment, for example, put it on your site, and as long as you assign a profile to it just from the surface, you can use the drive feature and get a 3D view of your site that way. So just another tip for you. Don't need to do anything here if you don't want to.